dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
A rather mundane and pedestrian race at Dover last week turned into absolute chaos, especially for the playoff drivers. But here tonight, we look forward to Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the final race in the round of 12, trying to get down to the round of 8 here in this championship. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening, and pardon me for the jumbled up intro there. We are here at Las Vegas, ready to go again. Final race in the round of 12, looking to lock the field in for the round of 8. And to help me here call this is my normal partner for the SCL series, but they're still a couple weeks away from returning, Daniel Paulus Jr. Thank you very much for joining me here tonight in this cutoff race. I cannot wait to see what these guys could do here tonight.
I can't wait either, Frank. It's literally the last race in the first round of these playoffs, and you're going to see in these playoff standings, everybody from 9th to 12th here in the standings, they're all fighting to get into the next round, but these point battles are very close. They're only 3 or 4 points away from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something we've seen a lot this season. I know this is your first race here, but something we've seen a lot of is parity. We've only seen 2 repeat winners. One of them is running consecutively. Carter Casey won the final race at Talladega before the playoffs and then wins the playoff opener last week at Dover. Car number 28 is going to be a very, very tough beat here tonight for a lot of these playoff drivers.
As qualifying is now again underway here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Frank, these drivers are all going to be fighting for a spot to move on to the next round. Now, who do we see that is going to potentially sneak their way into the next round and who's not going to have a chance to get into the next round after this race?
Well, let's take a look at that as a matter of fact and see what the point situation is. Now, we don't have the points number for you, but there you see the drivers who are competing in the round of 12. At the moment, we do have, let me get back to it up here, Logan Koger, Jacob Jensen, Ed Morris Sr., and Gary Wells are on the outside looking in on this points battle. Paul Irvin and Michael Thwaites right now are tied for the 7th position in points. They are 3 points clear of that cutoff line. So right now, as far as the danger zone is concerned, guys like Ed Morris, Michael Thwaites, Paul Irvin, all guys that ran into some pretty serious trouble at Dover last week. Logan Koger, Jacob Jensen, Ed Morris Sr., Gary Wells, those guys are on the outside looking in. And all of those drivers have a very good chance here tonight of making their way into tonight's, making their way into the round of 8, as I believe, as you mentioned a moment ago, we should have qualifying getting set to go here. Daniel, as cars making their way around the track here for the final time in practice. Jacob Brower, I believe a series debutant, comes in here tonight with the race, comes here with the fastest lap in the practice session. We are expecting 26 drivers here tonight, so a pretty decent sized field for how late it is in this season. And looking out on track, it appears as though Gary Wells, one of the playoff hopefuls, looks like he's going to be the first one to roll out on track, Daniel.
As you see, playoff driver now making his way onto the track here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Frank, I want to go back to the playoffs really quick. You know, these drivers that are all in the playoffs, no matter what position you're in currently in the standings, you don't want to make a mistake. It is an elimination race here tonight from Las Vegas, and one critical mistake that I see a lot of drivers have issues with is coming down pit road, speeding, coming in or coming out pit road, and potentially missing their pit box. And you don't want to be doing that here in the final cutoff race, because if so, that could jeopardize your chance of moving on to the second round.
Yep, and we saw 2 drivers last week at Dover, both Ed Morris Jr. as a big slide there for Gary Wells, is able to save it. But we saw both Ed Morris and Paul Irvin have a big slide going on to pit road and damaging their cars. So it's certainly been a talking point of these playoffs so far. As there we see Gary Wells will set the first lap time in qualifying, as it'll be a 31.66. It'll be the slowest, as you would imagine, with that big slide. But right now, Jacob Brower in car number 3 appears to be number 1 on the timesheets, just as he was in practice. Watch him get close to that wall coming out of turn 4. Or 2, pardon me.
Drivers making their way around, getting their qualifying lap set here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As you see, we just have 8 minutes left in this qualifying run here. You see the 99 of Haynes with a 29.61 on top of the leaderboard right now.
That's Rob Haynes. Does have 1 win thus far this season. Is Jacob Jensen done with his qualifying attempt as well? Here's John Wimbish, car number 98, part of the All-Star TV team. What is the sponsor on that car? I just saw it, and then when I went to say it, I believe it slipped my mind. As Wimbish crossing the line. He was 5th quickest on his first lap, and he will go a little bit quicker, but will not better his time for John Wimbish. Nicholas Caldwell out on track. Toyotas and Fords, the last 2 cars we have seen, and that's a big point, at least on the Cup side, is the update that iRacing had earlier today. Featured the 2024 Cup cars, featured the new 2024 Mustang with its elongated grille area, the graphic there, and also that very interesting grille design for the Toyota Camry now in iRacing. Set and ready to go for the 2024 seasons. Could you believe it? We're only about a week and a half away from the clash at the Coliseum. It seemed like this offseason has gone by so quick.
I mean, you aren't kidding, Frank. I mean, this offseason has gone by so quickly. I mean, like you mentioned, the clash is literally within the coming days now. And we did see new Ford and a new Toyota body style come into this new 2024 season, which is going to play a whole different role against that Chevy Camaro. And I potentially could see the Chevy Camaro not continuing after the 2024 season. So they're also going to have to make a body change for the 2025 season. But I know this 2024 season is going to be a heck of a show to watch, especially with this new aerodynamics on the new body changes with the Ford and Toyota.
Absolutely, as we see Ed Morris Sr. out on track, just about halfway through this qualifying session here. Tommy Haynes, who we were following for a good portion of his qualifying lap, moves up to 8th on his second time, and Ed Morris Sr. will go to 14th quickest. Here's Dustin Carroll, car number 92, the Carroll Auto Repair Chevrolet Camaro. Alan Dobbs, Ted Pullen, Michael Thwaites on track as well, as Carroll will jump up to P13 on his second qualifying attempt, as we see the Napa number 15 of Ted Pullen. Logan Koger starting his first qualifying lap, one of the few playoff drivers we have still yet to qualify. Dustin Karp, Joe Darnell as the 15 gets into the wall. Joe Darnell, series debutante, Alan Fox, and Carter Casey, the only drivers that have yet to at least attempt to qualify, as Michael Thwaites completes his first lap. Thwaites so far, slowest of all, to 31.10.
Got some nice looking paint schemes here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Running that Ryan Blaney Menard scheme here tonight.
It's been his primary paint scheme for most of this season in the number 12, as Alex Reeling starts his first lap. The paint scheme is a race winner back in Indianapolis earlier on this season. Running on the oval is Alex Reeling. About halfway through his first lap, here's Paul Irvin completing his first lap. Backed it into the pit road wall at Dover last week. I'm sure that Allied Nationwide number 48 is going to be hoping for a little bit better results here this week, as Alex Reeling goes 10th quickest on his first lap. See what Paul Irvin can do here. 3 minutes to go in this qualifying session. And Paul Irvin will go P8. So a solid run for him. We'll see if Reeling can bump him out. Got really loose coming off of turn 4 there. And Reeling will go from 11th to 10th. So he's back into the top 10. See last week's pole sitter Alan Fox completing his lap.
Speaking of loose, Frank, we do see a lot of these drivers here getting very loose coming off of turn 2, so we're going to have to keep a close eye on that as the race progresses on later on.
Third quickest for Alan Fox as we see Austin Karp on track. Karp 12th quickest. As far as the timing and scoring sheet shows, and a 29.80 last time around. And we'll show you, we'll discuss the new qualifying system that iRacing will put up, that NASCAR, pardon me, will put up as Karp goes to 9th quickest. We'll discuss that right now, as a matter of fact, as qualifying attempts appear to be done here for the moment. Joe Darnell and Carter Casey, the only two that have not yet put down a qualifying lap. Now, for those of you who maybe don't remember, for those of you who don't know or haven't seen thus far today, NASCAR has implemented a new qualifying system for the upcoming season. Now, it is going to remain basically the same as far as how qualifying is going to be run. However, the drivers that get drawn into Group A, those drivers will be will make up the outside lane for the initial start. Drivers that were drafted into Group B are drivers that are going to be making up the inside line for the opening restart. Again, this has no effect on Daytona. It has no effect on really any of the other qualifyings. Just instead of filling the order out like, okay, this guy from A ran this time, this guy from B ran that time, it was faster than somebody from A, they're just going to make it to where all of A is on the outside row, all of B is on the inside row. So not a bad change, I would say, for NASCAR, but certainly something different coming into this 2024 season.
It's an interesting change, Frank, and we're going to have to see how that plays out throughout the 2024 season. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's kind of a great idea, actually, just because, we're mixing it up a little bit in the qualifying sessions, but we're trying something new. And there has been breaking news from NASCAR that they're going to show their electric car, if I'm not mistaken wrong, Frank, at the Clash.
Yeah, that would not be... I don't believe you're wrong on that. As a matter of fact, NASCAR has been working on an electric car, which will be creating its own series. It won't be taking over any of the top 3 series. So NASCAR's E-Series could be making a debut here soon. Let's take a quick look at the starting grid here for tonight's race. Rob Haynes with a time of 29.618. will start on pole here. Playoff drivers lock out the front row. It'll be Jacob Jensen to the outside of row number 1. Alan Fox and Jacob Brower will make up row number 2 with Alan Dobbs and Daniel Krim in row 3. Mike Rominger and John Wimbish will make up row number 4 with Austin Karp and Paul Irvin in row 5. Logan Koger and Alex Reeling will sit in row 6. Ed Morris and Tommy Haynes will make up row 7 with Joshua Vidal and Mike Campeggio in row 8. Row 9 will see Nicholas Caldwell and Gary Wells. Dustin Carroll and Kerry Cleaver will sit in row 10. Ed Morris Sr. and Michael Thwaites will sit in row 11. Nate Orlovsky and Ted Pullen in row 12. Row 13 and the final row on the grid will go to the 2-time defending race winner, Carter Casey and Joe Darnell. Again, Carter Casey has won the last 2 races running, and he, much like Joe Darnell, are here just deciding not to take part in the qualifying session. Weather conditions here for tonight's race as the cars roll off. We are just past 8 p.m. in sim time on this day. Temperature 69 degree ambient temperature, 69 degree track temperature, but that's not what I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is the northwesterly winds that are whipping around this Las Vegas Motor Speedway, touching 20 miles an hour. This is going to be quite a blustery race here for these drivers, Daniel.
Whatever wind comes into play here, Frank, no matter what track you're at, it's going to give you a problem.
And absolutely, especially when it's at 20 miles an hour, blowing northwest, which, if I have my my geography right, that would mean it is a crosswind blowing to the right of the cars going into turn 3, and a crosswind blowing in on the cars going down into turn 1. But right now, let's focus on the race. We have 143 laps to get through to decide who will be the 8 moving on in the race for the championship. Green flag is in the air here from Vegas.
Field making their way in turns 1 and 2 with Haynes leading that pack in that 99 Chevrolet. You see right there on the outside of him is the 54 of Jensen.
Jacob Jensen holding that outside line firm for right now. The outside line might become the preferred line a little bit later on, but right now the bottom is going to be where you're going to want to be, as Mike Rominger already looking to go 3 wide here in the early stages of this race. He's up to 5th right now in car number 4 as we ride on board with him.
Working our way out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway here. Going into turn number 3, we're on board here with Rottinger as they are 3 wide as they enter turn number 3.
It's Daniel Krim on the outside. Alan Dobbs, who looked as though he was going to take the win last week at Dover, on the bottom. As Dobbs now allows Rominger to go through. Ed Morris, see him there in car number 7. Following Austin Karp through, trying to keep Paul Irvin at bay on the outside, as well as Alex Reeling. But Ed Morris will certainly be looking for redemption this week after really hitting that right side of the nose of the car on the pit wall at Dover last week while he was pitting from the race lead, and just never got back into it. And right when he did, he got caught up in another incident. So Ed Morris on his heels here so far is up here at the front. Jacob Brower looking to the inside of Rob Haynes, and now Jacob Jensen as Alan Fox has taken over the race lead.
Race leader still out front here, single file, but now we're getting double file as we're going down the front straightaway, heading into turn number 1 here with Jensen and Boyer still battling side by side for second as they exit turn number 2.
Looking through here, Alan Fox last week started from pole and led 95 of the 145 laps. Was a victim, caught a lap down, if I remember correctly, from Dover last week when that caution came out at the century mark. And then after that, we all remember the craziness that ensued, and unfortunately Alan Fox was a part of that craziness. That was a big bit of contact with the outside wall from what looked like the 47 of Daniel Krim on that high side.
Working our way here on lap number 7 out, 143 here, live from Las Vegas, the cutoff race here, Frank. And you see these aggression that these drivers are having right now early on in this run.
Certainly are, as Alan Dobbs still holding on to that inside line. Daniel Krim able to work that outside line, at least good enough for him, as somebody also working the outside line. Take a look at the number 1 of Alex Reeling. He will get past Logan Koger. And again, Koger in a very big spot here tonight. Koger needs to have a good finish in car number 25. He is the first of the drivers on the outside looking in, only 3 points behind. And guess who he's behind? The driver who's directly behind him right now, car number 48.
48 going to the high side here, going to battle side by side for 25 here. Is he going to get the run off the turn number 4? He is still going to stay right behind 25 as they enter in the turn number 1.
Speaking of 48, that will be the stage break here tonight. Only one stage break in this series if you are a newcomer. And that one stage will come at lap 48. As just behind the pair that we're watching, Nicholas Caldwell coming into tonight's second in points. On the outside of Tommy Haynes, falling backwards a little bit as Ed Morris trying to peek his number 7 nose into there.
Drivers using different lanes here from Las Vegas. You see drivers using that top lane, using that bottom lane, but right now it looks like these drivers are struggling a little bit here, Frank, as they exit turn 2, just tapping that wall.
Yeah, speaking of tapping that wall, Paul Irvin certainly did that. Shot from the outside to the bottom in the number 48. As Irvin right now, this is just outside the top 10, and as we wait up here at the front, Jacob Brower, fastest car in practice, 4th fastest qualifier. Looking to the inside, can't quite get that lead away from Alan Fox as Fox continues to lead, picking up right where he left off at Dover last week.
Most of the drivers inside top 10 now, single file here as they enter turn number 1 here with the 23. My bad, the 73 of Fox leading this pack here on lap 12 out of 143. But there's a great battle going on for second right now.
Yep, absolutely. Jacob Brower, Mike Rominger trying to get position. Rominger we've seen really come alive in the later runs. He does have 1 win on this season. He has led the point standings the entire way. Picked up the win in the season opener back at Daytona earlier on. And Rominger has not let that points lead go away. He has been very, very strong, especially on the long runs at each and every race, and even at tracks where he hasn't had the best of luck. Think of Sonoma earlier on, still did not come away with a bad finish there either.
Top 3 pulling away just a little bit there from the 54 of Jensen. Currently P4 having a very solid night here from Las Vegas. As you see right behind him, you see a great little pack here going on inside top 10.
Mike Rominger looking to the inside of Brower, couldn't quite make the move. As you had mentioned, Alan Dobbs, car number 37 down on the bottom. Taking a look at Daniel Krim in the 47, and just behind that, Logan Koger and Paul Irvin are still battling for supremacy in that third group, as Koger still holding Paul Irvin at bay with 2 more playoff drivers behind them, Alex Reeling and Nicholas Caldwell. Koger, great bit of momentum through the middle of 1 and 2, gets through, and it looks like Dobbs may have gotten very close to hitting Krim. Slots in behind him now into 7th.
Seeing these drivers hug that white line, you don't want to get too low and into the turn, just because if you get too close to that apron, it could spin yourself around and wreck yourself out of this race, which you don't want to do here in a playoff race. See right there, the 34 Long John Silver machine at Ford Mustang working on the 1 car, trying to get around him. That is Nicholas Caldwell.
Reeling right up against that wall and reeling into the wall in that Appalachian State Ford Mustang. Those of you watching for the first time, drivers in red up on your timing and scoring tower there to the left of the screen. Those are drivers who are in playoff contention. There are 12 names highlighted in red here tonight. Come next week and for the next 2 races. As a matter of fact, when we head to Homestead Miami Speedway next week and then Watkins Glen the week after that, there will only be 8 names highlighted in red. After Watkins Glen, it'll be Pocono and Phoenix, your championship 4 here for this season. That will end on season will end on February 20th. February 27th, the very next weekend, will be the All-Star race, which was planned to go on a couple of weeks ago. However, the Series decided to make a change, try to get more drivers involved in the All-Star race. So they moved it to the end of last season. And speaking of moving dates, for those of you who were expecting the ISNF Cup Series from the Nashville Fairgrounds on Saturday, that race was postponed. Too many of their series drivers were taking part in the 24 hours of Daytona race over the weekend, so they decided to push it back. And that one day off that was expected to be March 30th is where that race will now sit. So the Nashville Fairgrounds race that was supposed to be run this Saturday has been moved to the 30th of March for the ISNF Cup Series. As we take a look-see here at a battle between two playoff drivers. Austin Karp on the bottom, Rob Haynes on the outside line. Haynes gives the spot to Karp.
You're going to see this throughout the whole night here, Frank. You're going to see drivers switching lanes. They're going to be flip-flopping each other around on the track. And that's what you expect here in playoff racing. But you know what is frustrating about these playoff races? I know from drivers that have raced in these playoffs is that you have drivers that aren't in the playoffs and they could be holding you up and you're trying to get around them, but they're not letting you have any slack here. You really got to work hard to get around them, and it can get frustrating as a playoff driver to try to get around a driver that's kind of contending in the playoff.
I think what you're talking about here is Jacob Brower, who is not giving Mike Rominger all that easy of a task to get into that second spot. Now, these guys are more than safe in the stage points, but I'm sure Rominger wanting to stretch the legs of that number 4 out a little bit, as he's got Jacob Jensen filed in behind him as he's had most of the night. But now Alan Fox starting to stretch his legs. He's got a 0.6 of a second lead, and Rominger stuck battling with Jacob Brower here.
With the 73 of Fox still leading here, look at the tire wear fall off on that 73 later on this race. You're going to see other drivers that haven't been using their tires and have been saving them for a few laps. They're going to start closing in actually on this 73 of Fox. So he wants to be very careful with his tire wear here. But when do we expect green flag pit stops here, Frank? Because I know these drivers are not going to be having good handling cars once this tire wear is gone.
I believe it's a 60% fuel fill for these cars, so we should be seeing pit stops here with about 10 to 15 laps to go in the stage. We have just crossed over, as we cross the line now. We will cross over the halfway point in the stage. So Alan Fox, leader halfway through the stage here tonight. Ed Morris, speaking of pit stops, Ed Morris has come down pit road, electing to cut this stage directly in half. So Morris will pit. Ed Morris Sr. here in the number 5 has already pit in that car, came into pit back on lap 20, so about 5-lap tire disadvantage there. But right now, as it sits, halfway through the stage, Alan Fox, his best lap of the race so far, a 29.95. His last lap, a 31.46, a second and a half off in 25 laps here. That is a big, big fall off, and they still have about another half a second to fall off before it's done.
Now, with the 7 of Morris came down pit road here past the halfway point in stage 1, are we going to see other drivers potentially come down pit road and get service? That is the question yet to be answered here. But you see these playoff drivers are not all inside the top 10 right now. They're spread out through the field here. But you're starting to wonder, are these going to be the drivers that we're going to see later on in the race? Or are we going to see a whole batch of new playoff drivers that we haven't seen in the first half now going to be in the second half? So we're going to have to watch how this race plays out here. You see a great battle here going on inside the top 10.
It's John Wimbish trying to defend from Daniel Krim, as sliding into pit road is Jacob Jensen. So only 3 cars have decided to pit, and all 3 are playoff cars. As Wimbish now on that bottom line, starting to fall back a little bit. He's lost position to Daniel Krim, lost position to Logan Coger, and now Nicholas Caldwell as Alan Fox comes down pit road from the race lead.
And this is the question that had to be answered. Are we going to see other drivers come down pit road? Absolutely. It's going to happen here. As you see the 73 of Fox, our leader, coming down pit road. The 1 also coming down pit road, that's Alex Railing. And these drivers, Frank, that are coming down pit road, they're going to get tires, they're going to get fuel. Now, at the end of stage 2, at stage 1, are we going to see drivers that didn't make halfway pit stops come down at the end of the stage, or are they going to try to stretch it out a little more?
I think we'll see everybody come in at the end of the stage, especially if it stays green the way it has. Jacob Brower, Logan Coger, Gary Wells all deciding to come in here on this lap. That'll give Mike Rominger a lap lead, as Rominger is about 1.2 seconds over Alan Dobbs in car number 37, and that is going to evaporate as here comes Rominger down onto pit road. He's followed by Rob Haynes, as Haynes now will make his way into the box. That will leave Alan Dobbs and Austin Karp, your 1 and 2. Austin Karp, also your highest running of the playoff drivers at the moment. Paul Irvin, 3rd place. Daniel Krim, Nicholas Caldwell, your current top 5, as Dobbs, Karp, Irvin, none of them deciding to pit. So guys have certainly decided to take a little bit of an earlier pit stop. And right now, that would be favoring Jacob Jensen. But look at the mess he is in right now.
Now you're thinking the drivers that did come down pit road, they're going to have the fresher tires. But the drivers that are staying out right now, they're on old tires. So here's the thing. When those drivers that are trying to probably stretch it out, when they go down pit road with new tires, potentially at the end of this stage, those drivers that got new tires during that green flag run are going to be on older tires, so they're going to have to probably come down pit road again. So is the advantage to the drivers that are staying out right now?
I would think, again, I think if stage break, if we run green the entirety of the stage break, I would have to say everybody's going to come in. That would be my guess. Now, see, boy, you can just see the speed difference between cars with tires and cars without as Jacob Jensen makes 3 passes in a quarter of a track. Dustin Carroll coming down pit road now. Alan Dobbs still out front. He has not yet come down. But, I mean, if you pit with only a couple laps to go in the stage, then I could see staying out to give yourself the track position to start the next stage, but I can't see anyone deciding to stay out here at the stage break, as we're focusing on Jacob Jensen right now as Alan Fox and Ed Morris work their way through Campeggio, Wimbish, and Thwaites. Because Jacob Jensen, by coming in a couple of laps earlier, actually 1 lap earlier than Alan Fox, currently running in the 14th spot, he is the effective race leader in car number 64. So right now it'd be a possible playoff driver taking stage points, which will be a first, or will be taking the stage win, which will be a first in the playoffs this season, as the 3 of Jacob Brower coming down pit road. We expected Krim, Wimbish, Campeggio, Orlovsky, and Cleaver, but the 3 has already been down pit road. What is the deal here?
Possibly making a different change here.
Oh, no, it's a drive-through penalty.
Oh, man.
Probably speeding on exit for car number 3 as Alan Dobbs comes in from the lead. Paul Irvin from second. That'll give Austin Karp the race lead.
here on lap 37 out of 143. Been green flag racing here ever since the start. No cautions have come out yet. Seeing a little drivers slipping around there and out of turn number 2, but you're also seeing drivers come down pit road. They're getting their first service. As you see the 15 there coming in hot, and he's locking it up a little bit, but he keeps it straight as you see them coming down pit road.
Joshua Vidal in the 26, Tommy Haynes in the 17, and Ted Pullen, watch out, in the 15. All coming down pit road, and now they will all be passed, and that will leave Jacob Jensen in the lead of this race by about a little bit more than a second for car number 64. So it'll be 64, 73, 4, 7, and 99. That will be your top 5. The penalty for car number 3, we've just gotten word from our very own Michael Self. The reason why Jacob Brower had to do a drive-through penalty, driving through too many pit boxes on pit entry. So that is why Brower was forced to serve a drive-through penalty. I believe you only get to drive through 2 pit boxes on your way into your pit stop. So Brower running afoul of that. That was why, you get 6 boxes total. That's including their box and on exit and entry. So you have so it would be what? 3 forward, 3 back, 2 forward, if you want to break it down that way. He drove through more than 6 pit boxes. We'll leave it at that.
And with that penalty now, that's going to hurt his chances here on gaining any track position. He went from contending in the top 3 all the way back down outside the top 20 now. And you see him right there, currently 25th with 26 seconds back. He's going to have to do something here to gain some kind of ground here, because if not, and this thing runs green flag, there's a potential he could go a lap down later on in this race, and you don't want that to happen.
He is the next car to go a lap down at this stage, as we see Austin Karp currently running in the 10th position, a little bit further ahead. There is Carter Casey. Now, Carter Casey, again, winner of the last 2 races running. Did not make the playoffs because he has not completed enough races this season in order to be eligible for the playoffs. But Carter Casey doing exactly what he's done over the last couple of races. He's been very, very quiet, moving his way through the field slowly. Started second to last after not qualifying, and has now moved his way into the top 10. Has just passed Logan Koger for 7th. As the battle for the race lead and the stage win starting to heat up, as Jacob Jensen has lost that 1 second advantage he had over Alan Fox and Mike Rominger. They are right there with 5 to go here in the stage.
With just 5 to go here in stage number 1 here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. There's one playoff driver, Frank, that I haven't really seen gain any ground outside the top 15, top 20, and that's the 5 of Morris right now with 23 seconds back. I mean, are you beginning to wonder that Morris is kind of struggling a little bit with his car handling?
This is typically what Ed Morris Sr. does, as Alan Fox looking to the inside for that race lead. Now Mike Rominger looking to the bottom for the race lead. And for the first time tonight, Mike Rominger gets into the lead. On track at least. He's led a couple laps in the pit cycle. But now Rominger out in front, and he could virtually lock himself into the next round of the playoffs with a stage win here. He came in quite clearly ahead, did Rominger, so this could really help him out. But going back to what you were saying with Ed Morris Sr., this has typically been his strategy. Kind of ride around, don't get really into any problems, stay away from people, and find yourself in a very good position come the end of the race. And that's exactly what he did last week. He was under threat of going a lap down a couple of times last week at Dover and still ended up with a top 10 finish. So things going as planned for car number 5 right now as he's battling with Dustin Carroll here. This is back for the 22nd position. By the way, we were just speaking about Carter Casey. He just came down pit road and has not gotten out. So Carter Casey, there he is. Oh, he has had some damage on the right side of that car. We'll figure out during the stage break what happened there. Right now, with a lap to go here in the stage, Mike Rominger free and clear.
Green flag this whole run so far here, but you see inside the top 10, actually, you see a lot of these playoff drivers now starting to focus and making their way inside the top 10, nearing the end of stage number 1 here. You see the 4 of Romlinger doing an excellent job here on lap 48. He got around the 73 and 54 against what he did a really good job doing, but everybody from 3rd on down to 7th is all contending for a playoff spot, and that's how tight these battles are going to be here in the final playoff race for the first round. And you see right there, Carper in the 19 is rounding out your top 10, but farther back outside the top 10, you see the 40 of Irvin, you see Thoughts, you see a 34 of Caldwell, just sitting there in the top 15, just probably just holding off to see what happens here. Doesn't want to get involved in like a wreck or something, pushes limits where he has no tire wear frame.
There is the caution for the stage break. It came out a lap late, but Mike Rominger is your stage winner here tonight, and with that will virtually clinch himself into the next round of the playoffs. And we will now take a moment to interview our stage winner, as I am just having lag issues like crazy. As now, let's bring in our stage winner here, Mike Rominger. Mike, congratulations. One heck of a move there with about 5 laps to go in the stage to get you the win.
Yeah, I just stayed out longer than everybody else. I think that's what helped me.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, virtually locked into the next round of the playoffs here. You came in with a big lead. Now you get the 10 extra points for the stage win. What are your thoughts now? Effectively just waiting for the round of 8 to begin at Homestead next week.
I'm just taking it lap by lap, trying to get through this one. I'm just trying to get to the end today.
All right. Well, we'll let you get into pit road first here. Mike Rominger, stage winner. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you.
And with that, we will now take a break. We will be right back here as stage 1 has come to a close here. The rest of the race coming up. Just under 90 laps to go here from Las Vegas. Mike Rominger, your stage winner.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today. Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Back here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, getting set to go here for the second stage here in round number 12 of the season, and the final race in the round of 12 for the season here for the Extreme Motorsports Xfinity Series. Mike Rominger took the stage win, and now we'll have Rob Haynes to his outside here for this restart. Joshua Vidal taking 2 tires in car number 26, third car on the inside row. Green flag is back in the air. Great restart from Rominger.
Cars heading into turn number 1 here. With Rominger leading this pack here, exiting turn number 2. You see right there, the top 3 all settled in. As you look toward the mid-pack now, all still single out, but now we're going 3 wide here mid-pack, right there.
That's right around the 26 of Joshua Vidal, who we had mentioned had not taken 4 tires, just took fuel only during that pit stop. Only a 7-second stop there for Vidal. So in that Denso Toyota, going to be under a little bit of a disadvantage as Daniel Krim starting to work his way forward. Same thing with John Wimbish. Car number 98 going into the 9th spot as Austin Karp in the 19 trying to work his way back forward.
Mid-pack still looking very congested here as we're riding on board with Austin Karp in that 19 machine.
Very close there with Daniel Krim. Going into turn 3 is Paul Irvin, trying to work his way through. Paul Irvin, it's kind of been an up and down season for him. Started off so well, was up towards the front in every single race, and now has kind of fallen back towards the midfield. So unfortunately for Irvin, it's been a tale of 2 seasons, and unfortunately it's been the wrong way for this season, for the second half.
cars. And into turn numbers 1 and 2 here on lap 59 out of 143. Just under 100 laps here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which is 87 laps remaining here from Las Vegas with the Ford Romager leading the pack. Everybody pretty much inside the top 10 besides 3 drivers are playoff contenders here, Frank.
Absolutely. Taking a look a little bit more as far as the playoff run here in the middle of this field as Ed Morris in a gaggle of cars. See some left side door damage there for car number 7 as this field works its way through on lap 60. We've only had one caution for incident. One caution here tonight, and it's not for incident. And one real issue that has been had here tonight. We'll go back and take a look. This is what happened back on lap 43. We were just talking about Carter Casey prior to this. Casey trying to stay off that turn 2 wall. Ends up coming down across the nose of Logan Koger, who was working his way up off the corner. And that has been really the only incident. That is why Carter Casey was in the pits with damage, and still is, as a matter of fact, in the pits with damage in the 28. And Koger right now trying to defend that 7th position, a spot that he desperately needs to hold on to.
The 7 of Morris, currently P8 going down the front straightaway, Frank. And we also see the other Morris of currently 21st in that 5 machine, and potentially looking to see if he can make any ground here in the second stage here. But you see right there, 48. Also, Irvin now entering the top 10 here on lap 63.
Take a look here as to why Logan Koger needs to hold on to that position. There are the playoff standings for your playoff drivers. Again, Logan Koger coming in just 3 points shy of the cut line. Michael Thwaites, who has been almost a non-factor here in this race, there he is in the number 12, riding along the outside of Mike Campeggio there in the 24. Thwaites is certainly going to need a move on. The Indianapolis winner certainly going to need to move forward, as will Logan Koger. Alex Reeling is going to be in trouble here. He's the only car 1 lap down right now, running in 25th.
Has been a lap down for a while here, Frank, but he hasn't gotten his lap back ever since. So here on lap 65 out of 143, these drivers mostly single file, using that middle and high groove here to make these fast and get good corner exits here off of turn number 4. As you see these drivers battling side by side, him in the turn number 1. But right there, you see the 12 also looking to the inside of the 3 machine. He's going to go use that middle line here, Frank. But let's see if he can stick and get that position.
Another driver that's been moving forward quite nicely has been this number 3 of Jacob Brower. As you had just mentioned, he was had gotten a penalty earlier on for driving through too many pit boxes. So Brower moving his way back through the field. Another guy we haven't seen up front all that much here tonight. That 87 of Gary Wells. He was one of the first drivers to come down pit road under the pit stop cycle in the first stage. And Wells now running in the 11th spot. He's up 7 positions from where he started. One of the middle running playoff drivers here as it stands. A little bit further forward, Logan Koger, Paul Irvin on that outside line. And for Logan Koger, as we showed with the point standings earlier on, he needs to get away from Paul Irvin. He needs to get away from Paul Irvin desperately. but these two have been locked nose to tail pretty much the entirety of this race.
And they haven't gotten a separation just yet. But I'm sure they're both trying to make their way up through the field here inside the top 10. And I know it's very hard here to run at Las Vegas trying to get around other drivers. You know, you try to get around a driver, you get that good high draft or quarter exit go, and then all of a sudden it's on within the front stretch or back stretch. Then you got to try to keep working at it, but you can't lose them or to the point where you use your tire wear and you can't even make a move at that point, because with no tire wear, you're not going to have the grip to do that. So you see right there in front of the 48, we have the 25 of Koger, also doing an excellent job here tonight inside top 10, currently running P7.
Well, that was a big wiggle there in the back. I believe that was Kerry Cleaver in the 96. There he is. Just had a big moment coming off of turn 2, and unfortunately he was not the stage winner. But Cleaver did have quite a moment there. Just in front, Gary Wells, who's now fallen back to the 15th position, trying not to lose that to Dustin Carroll there in the 92. But Will not missing anything up front. Mike Rominger, Jacob Jensen, Alan Fox, Rob Haynes still holding fine. But again, this battle here between Karp, Koger, and Morris, between Koger, Irvin, and Morris, has been really, really good over these last handful of laps or so.
That's what you expect from these drivers here. You know, running tonight, you see a lot of these drivers, they have experience running a stock car on iRacing, and it's very hard to race with other drivers that are very, very good. And all these drivers do race with respect. They have talent, of course. And you gotta earn your respect. You gotta see how other drivers around you are racing. And you gotta try to work together to put on a good performance here. And that's what they're doing here tonight. They're racing clean. And I know everybody's trying to fight for a playoff spot, but you know, sometimes it's just not meant to be. You see these drivers all battling very hard. And each spot that they gain or they finish, that's going to look better on the standings. So there's drivers that are still outside the top 10 trying to make their way into this next round.
Looking through the rest of the fields, Nicholas Caldwell, there he sits. Currently right now in the 13th position. He is the first of the bottom 4 as far as playoff drivers are concerned. The drivers in the bottom 4, the playoff drivers in the bottom 4, Nicholas Caldwell, Gary Wells, Ed Morris Sr., and Alex Reeling. Those are the lowest 4 running playoff drivers as it sits in the field right now. For Nicholas Caldwell, that's not too bad, because Caldwell came into this race second in points. He was about 15 points clear of the cut line. So for him to be in this spot, not all that bad. But you're halfway through this race right now, and for Gary Wells, Ed Morris Sr., and Alex Reeling, who was still in but close, this is not a position that you want to be in, but still anything can happen here in the later stages.
It's definitely not over yet, Frank. You know, there's still a lot of time to go. We're only going on lap 77 out of 143. We still have 60-ish laps yet to go, and that's a long way, especially if you're doing a green flag run. But once you start getting with 30 to go, 20 to go, you start realizing that, you know, time's starting to run out. But there's still plenty of time yet to gain as much as possible.
Looking forward, we'll take a look at the race leaders here, something we haven't done in quite some time. Mike Rominger currently out in front. Rominger now has opened up that race lead to over a second over Jacob Jensen. Alan Fox, who had led most of the first stage prior to the pit cycle, currently still holding station in third. Alan Dobbs, who came on very strong during the long runs at Dover last week, currently running in 4th, and then after that it is all playoff drivers. Austin Karp, currently the 3rd highest running playoff driver, running in 5th. Rob Haynes, who was as high as 2nd here in this stage, has fallen off back to 6th. Paul Irvin getting stronger up into 7th. Same thing with Ed Morris. He's in 8th. Logan Koger 9th. Michael Thwaites, as we mentioned, he needed to get a move on. He's done just that. He's up 12 spots into the 10th position here, with Jacob Brower currently sitting in 11th. So that's what's going on as far as this whole the top 10 is concerned. Right now, the only 2 drivers in the top 10 that are not playoff drivers were the 2 drivers that were the most dominant back at Dover last week, Alan Fox and Alan Dobbs.
Alan Fox and Dobbs have been doing excellent here tonight. You know, they're inside the top 5. They've been leading a few laps earlier on. But now that we're in the middle of this race, middle stages of this race, they're currently 10 P3, P4, which is not bad. I mean, they want to be up in top 1 and 2, but, you know, that's just not going to happen right now. And you see right there, Dobbs falling back tremendously here as he's going to make his way down pit road.
That's exactly why he's down pit road. We knew the pit cycle was starting to come. 30 laps on this set of tires. Ted Pullen also down pit road. There's Mike Rominger currently out in front. This is how long he lasted. He lasted 30 laps in the first stage. Alan Fox now deciding to come in. So the 2 non-playoff drivers in the top 10 are the first 2 to make the move.
Now if these 2 drivers come down pit road, we're going to start seeing playoff drivers come down pit road. We will see here in the coming laps here on lap 82 at 143. Rottinger from 1st place all the way down to 8th place as a playoff driver. Only playoff driver that's not in the playoffs right now is the 3 of Breyer, who's in 8th place right now. As you see, more drivers coming down pit road.
Rob Haynes, Nicholas Caldwell, Kerry Cleaver, you just saw him in the background. He is coming down pit road. Paul Irvin trying not to lose that spot to Ed Morris, but he will on that outside line. Top has not yet come down pit road. Here comes Paul Irvin. So Irvin now in the pits. Logan Koger, Michael Thwaites, Jacob Brower, Mike Campeggio moving his way up into the top 10. A very good run for car number 24 here tonight. Up into the 8th spot, up 8 from where he started. Gary Wells right there as well, but so far everyone's staying stationary up here. Nope, never mind. Here comes Austin Karp and Logan Koger down pit road.
I expected this to happen once 1 or 2 cars come down pit road. I did expect other drivers to start following as well to get tires and fuel. As you see right there in a 98-47 battling side by side going down the back straightaway as they enter turn number 3.
Sean Libish on the outside, Daniel Krim down on the bottom. Here comes Alan Dobbs sneaking through the middle. They were 4 wide there for a moment as Dobbs works his way back up through on fresh tires. He should be the effective race leader once the pit cycle works its way through. But they're sounding very lonely up here at the front. Mike Rominger leads by 1.5 seconds over Jacob Jensen, who leads Ed Morris by 2.5 seconds. And then it's Michael Thwaites and Jacob Brower for very close company. Mike Campeggio there as well, Gary Wells, Dustin Carroll, John Wimbish, and Tommy Haynes, your current top 10. As it sits, again, as now Ed Morris Sr. comes down pit road here in car number 5. We have not yet had one caution for incident, as now here comes Jacob Jensen in. P2 is in. I'm sure Rominger will be responding rather quickly.
Rominger should be coming down the pit road in the next few laps here. Now seeing other drivers come down and get their pits done. But here he is, the Ford Rominger coming down pit road.
See what we can get here, because the 64 is down pit road. Rominger not there yet. So Rominger taking the risk. He saw staying out longer worked in the last stage. Jacob Brower coming down pit road, car number 3. Brower's got a long way down pit road. Started second, or pardon me, started 4th. Did Brower. Rominger's looking like he's a little low here. Yep, there he is. Now he's coming in. So Mike Rominger pits from the race lead. Michael Thwaites, a big slide in the background. Same thing with Mike Campeggio coming down pit road. So that will give the lead of the race to Ed Morris. And right now, as expected, there are your race leaders. Alan Dobbs and Alan Fox. They will be 1 and 2 when the pit cycle works its way through. Rob Haynes will be the highest running playoff driver. Ed Morris decides to come down pit road. Pit cycle is just about complete here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Alan Dobbs and Alan Fox will be 1 and 2, but right now the race lead falls in the hands of car number 20, Joe Darnell. He's got Joshua Vidal to his outside. Battle for position here for the race lead. We'll take a quick break and be right back and bring you the finish here from Las Vegas.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Back here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, current race leaders, Alan Dobbs and Alan Fox. You just saw them battling side by side for the race lead. Rob Haynes, currently your highest running playoff driver, a very interested onlooker, I am sure. And Daniel, we have just hit the point in the race where we completely fell apart last week. We had a caution come out at around lap 101, and after that, everything kind of just disintegrated. So we're at lap 101 right now. Hopefully, we stay green and we stay racing, because guys like Mike Rominger have made up a lot of time in a very short amount of time and are running right now up in the fourth spot. Paul Irvin trying to do the same. Jacob Jensen, who was at one point a second ahead of Mike Rominger, now finds himself a second behind.
Well, now that we are way past halfway, Frank, we are going on lap 102 out of 143. These drivers know these laps are going to start closing very, very fast here if we stay green. So these drivers are going to want to try to gain as much position as possible. But I think Rominger right now is pretty much in a very good spot right now, just in P3. I'm sure he's going to pass the 73 at Fox and 37 at Dobbs in no time. But it's just a matter of when. And he wants to try to keep that 99 of Hyannis out of the way. As you see right now, the poor Rominger now moves up to second. So now he's got a little breathing room. He's got a car that's a non-playoff car inside the top three right now.
But Mike Rominger, you saw why the pit stop lap, almost a 10-lap tire advantage between the 37 and 73. Out in front, so Rominger picks up right where he left off. Stage winner has locked himself into the round of 8, but could look to try to advance by taking the win here today. By the way, we should have one more set of pit stops left to go here tonight. And on the last set of pit stops, we saw that Nate Orlovsky in car number 29 came down. There he is in that Sherwood Wine Ford Mustang. Nate Orlovsky came down pit road a second time. He got caught the same penalty that the number 3 of Brower got caught with. Passing through too many boxes on pit road. Again, you have a limit of 6, including your own, and Orlovsky ran afoul. So now, back up here at the front, actually not that far away, there's Orlovsky right there in that red car. Mike Rominger now has opened up a 1.2 second lead and growing rapidly. He's only gaining about 4.5 tenths a lap, so, it's a small advantage as Dobbs and Fox continue to fall into the clutches of Jacob Jensen. Rob Haynes falling back as well, and it's not going to be too long before he's in the clutches of Paul Irvin, who has had a quiet but solid night here in car number 48. Hasn't made too many waves. We've shown him on screen a bunch, but has been rather quiet and moving forward nice and slowly for a solid finish. Exactly what he needed to do, being tied as the last car in the playoffs over the cutoff line.
You're so correct on that. As you see here, Rominger still our race leader here Frank, do you think anybody has a chance, like anybody like the 54 Jensen, the 99, the 48, or even the 19, have a chance to get up to the 4 and possibly steal that win from him? Or do you think the 4 is pretty much set sailed?
I think the way that it's going right now, you're going to need either a caution or you're going to really need to take a big swing on the pit strategy, because the way the timing has worked for Rominger, he's gotten out to a point where I think only a caution can stop him, as now Jacob Jensen looking to the inside, and he will take over that third position away from Alan Fox. Will now look to do the same thing to Alan Dobbs to take second, but I think Rominger, again, he's kind of in a spot where it's going to take the perfect timing on pit strategy plus no cautions if he wants to, if anyone's going to take this race away from him.
I think you're correct on that. And when you see these drivers that are in the playoffs right now, Frank, you're trying to begin to wonder, do they already know that they're not going to be moving on to the next round in these playoffs?
Well, there's still a bunch of time left here. I mean, it's dwindling lap by lap, but still a bunch of time. As we see here are the playoff standings, and Gary Wells, who we see, in the 87 right now, trying to fend off Mike Campeggio. There's still a very, very close gaps between every position in the playoffs. Again, Rominger really being the only exception, but he got out to a big lead for winning the regular season points. So it's going to be a close race here coming down to the end, and we've learned enough here over the last couple of weeks to know to not try to math our way into what the next round is going to be. We're just going to let the league do that for us, and we'll tell you who made it next week.
Well, I know for sure the 4 of Rominger is going to get into the next round, no doubt about it. You see him, once he's got up front, Frank, he's been dominating this race. No matter what has gotten in this guy's way, he's just been out front, doing an outstanding job. And I really only see that 54 Jensen possibly getting up to the 4 of Rominger if he continues going the way he is right now. I mean, he's currently sitting P3, but you have the 37 of Dobbs in the way from you getting to that 4 machine. And what I mentioned earlier on in this broadcast, Frank, is these non-playoff drivers, they play very hard, like they're actually in the playoffs, as you see right there, 37 of Dobbs come down pit road.
Yep, Dobbs is making his final pit stop. So with 30 laps to go, Alan Dobbs has started. So now I'm expecting what Dobbs is going to do is he is going to run like hell, try to gain as much of an advantage as he possibly can, and then try to hold. And hope Mike Rominger comes in with just enough time to where he does not catch car number 37. And we've seen it here a lot, as a lot of guys now coming in. Austin Carr, Paul Irvin, Michael Thwaites, Logan Koger, Nicholas Caldwell, all playoff drivers deciding to come into pit road here. 29 laps to go, it appears to be the time.
Working around the track right now, you see we're on lap 115 out of 143 with Rominger leading the pack here. But look where the 54 is now, Frank. He is currently P2, and the 7 of Morris is now P3. So they're all back bunched up together. So a big gap between those 3.
Alan Fox deciding to come in. Same thing with Rob Haynes. So Rob Haynes, another playoff driver towards the bubble, trying to get into the round of 8. Deciding to come in a little bit early. Car number 4, Mike Rominger out in front. Car number 64, Jacob Jensen second position. Number 7, Ed Morris. Running in third, Jacob Brower. On debut, trying to recover from a pit box violation. Earlier on, Gary Wells running P5 right now, car number 87. Those guys have not yet come in. As a matter of fact, the top 10 has not yet come in, but now the 64 of Jensen does decide to come in, so second place in pit road. See how much longer Mike Rominger wishes to wait. I think he's coming in now. Yes, he is. So Mike Rominger will find his way onto pit road. Same thing with Ed Morris. So those guys will come in. That will leave Jacob Brower up at the front of the field. There you see on the track map, numbers in the circles represent your favorite driver and where they are. So number 64 up there, moving slowly at the top, is Jacob Jensen coming out of pit road. See where your favorite driver is running on track at all times.
Now getting into the closing laps here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The final race here in the first round for the Extreme Xfinity Series. Frank, it's been an excellent show here tonight. No caution so far. We have been running green this whole entire time. And right now the 3 is leading. And actually for the first time in quite some time here in this race.
Yep, and there is Jacob Brower, car number 3, getting unlapping. Pardon me, having cars unlap themselves around him. Boy, it's been a long day. As Rob Haynes gets around him as well. Mike Rominger going to the outside as well. As Brower really has not been too much of a concern for these drivers since the first round of pit stops. Mike Campeggio currently running in second. Alan Dobbs, that's who I was looking for. Alan Dobbs currently finds himself 4 seconds clear of Alan Fox. He will be the race leader once pit stops cycle out. And right now, looking at car number 4 of Mike Rominger, he has to make up 5.5 seconds over the next 21 laps, which I have a feeling is going to be a feat that will not be all that difficult to overcome.
You look on the left, if you're pylon here on the left side of your screen, you're going to see the top 10, 9, and 8 positions here. You're going to see everybody from 8th position all the way back to the 10th position, all highlighted in red. That is your playoff drivers, and everybody outside your top 10 right now are playoff drivers. So they're going to have to try to make their way inside the top 10. But I do expect to see more and more playoff drivers move up in this pylon once we start getting these cycles finished here. You see right there the 48 of Irvin hopping up to 6th place, the 19th Carper making it up to 7th, and so on and so forth. And right there you see 9th place is Rominger, the driver that's been dominating this race. Once he's out front, as you see right now, the 24 come down pit road.
Tommy Haynes and Joshua Vidal are the only 2 drivers that have yet to come down pit road. So as it sits right now, it will be 37, 73, 18, 48, now 4, as Mike Rominger working his way past Austin Karp. Same thing with Rob Haynes. Haynes in that 99, looking towards the bottom of Austin Karp. Karp came down on 114. Haynes 115. Rominger 118. So a tire advantage and a big one, especially when you look between Rominger and Dobbs. Dobbs came in on 113. Compare that to Rominger's 118. As now Rominger getting past Vidal, who has not yet come down to pit. There are the pit stop laps for the drivers up in the top 5.
Right now, the 48 of Urban is doing an excellent job so far in these closing laps. Now, coming in a line with 17 laps to go, you see the 48 of Urban, but currently inside the top 5, currently sending P4. But right behind me, Frank, is Rominger, and you know how Rominger gets. He's going to find that line. He has the grip. He has the speed. You do not want to allow this 4 car to get around him, because if so, you know he's going to contest that win and possibly win away from you. So you want to try to win as far as you can with the 4.
Speaking of the number 4, he is moving up through this field, up into the 4th spot. There you see the lap time difference between Alan Dobbs, who is your effective race leader, and Mike Rominger. There are still 3 seconds between those two. However, it is shrinking at quite an alarming rate of knots. Tommy Haynes now down pit road. And for Mike Rominger, it feels like only a matter of time, but he still has about 2.5 seconds to go. And as we talk about so often in racing, catching is one thing, passing is another.
Everybody inside the top 10. Our playoff drivers, you see right there, the 25 of Koger now inside the top 10, taking that final 10th spot there. Everybody from 3rd to 10th now is all playoff drivers besides the 37 of Dobbs, who's leading this race with 15 laps to go, and the 73 of Alan Fox, who's currently sitting 2nd with about a 1.5 seconds back from the 37 of Dobbs.
15 laps to go, and right now it is a battle between the 37, the 73, and the 4. We have one caution here on the night, and that was the stage break. We have been caution-free as far as incidents are concerned here this evening. And right now, Mike Rominger is looking to take his first win of the season since the season opener back at Daytona. Alan Dobbs and Alan Fox are looking to take their first wins, period. Jacob Jensen has now moved up into the 4th position, still fighting with Paul Irvin. Irvin now clear. And with a baker's dozen laps to go, it almost feels academic right now between what is going to happen. We've showed you the tire difference. We've showed you the speed difference. Right now, Mike Rominger trying to hunt down Alan Dobbs. And he has 12 laps now to make up 0.5 seconds to try to take this win in the final race in the round of 12.
I know the 37 of Dobbs is looking in his rearview mirror now and seeing that for Rominger. He wants to get that win. But, you know, time is running out here for both of them. But, you know, that 4 is so fast. And with 12 laps to go, that's a lot of time yet for the 37 of Dobbs to get that win. But by the time that laps are gone, I think the 4 of Rominger is going to be already around him. Because look how close he is right now.
Absolutely is Rominger getting very, very close. Looking to the inside now. This is what we've been waiting for over the last couple of laps. Almost what we've been expecting to happen over the last couple of laps. And Mike Rominger now has made the move work. Mike Rominger out to the race lead. And looking for that first win since the season opener. I believe, yep, I have been left alone here. So Mike Rominger out in front. Alan Dobbs in second. I'll look a little bit further back. This is a battle for the 6th position. Paul Irvin, Austin Karp. Paul Irvin moving up. Austin Karp falling back. Now Michael Thwaites is another guy who needs to make a move forward. Thwaites down on that bottom line, looking for the 7th. Or looking for the 7th position. Can't quite get it. Austin Karp just nosed ahead. See Paul Irvin. Still holding on. Mike Rominger, I do apologize. We're trying to work on like 3 other things right here in the background, so I do apologize if commentary's been lacking a little bit over these last couple of laps. But right now, Paul Irvin able to hold Austin Karp, Michael Thwaites, Rob Haynes at bay. And again, here with just 6 laps to go, we'll show you one final time here tonight what this means. Jacob Jensen should go through to the next round of the playoffs. And Michael Thwaites right now really needs a big move because I believe, again, if my math is mathing, he will be the one out. So Jensen and Thwaites will be the one to swap because Paul Irvin running higher than he is right now. Rominger, Dobbs, Fox, Jensen, Morris, up your top 5. 4 laps to go, and now this is going to get really spicy because if Austin Karp gets past Paul Irvin, and he does, at least for the moment, Irvin really fighting back on that high side. Michael Thwaites now trying to push Paul Irvin.
These drivers know that what's at stake here tonight. They know that it is time to go get any position as possible because they know in the next couple laps this race is going to be over and you're either in or you're either out of the next round. So these drivers are going to start ramping up, and they know if they're near a playoff driver, they're going to try to get around him as fast as possible, but as cleanest as possible without wrecking the guy.
And that right there's the pass. That was the pass that Paul Irvin was nervous about. This is a battle right here to see who is in and who is out. It's Michael Thwaites and Paul Irvin. These two came in tied, remember. And with Jacob Jensen looking like he's going to be in, it's whoever finishes in front of the other. At least that's what we're expecting to be the case going into Homestead next week. But right now, Tommy Haynes going to stick his nose in it. Haynes 2 laps down, so it's not a battle for position. But right now, the 12 and the 48 are going to have a serious battle here on this final lap.
This is it. This is the final lap. This is what all drivers in the playoffs have been waiting for. This is it. You're either in or out, Frank. So it's been an excellent race here tonight.
Yep, one driver who is in, though, certainly is going to be car number 4. He was the points leader coming in. He's going to come across the line. He will win here at Las Vegas. Mike Rominger takes his 2nd win of the season. The battle at the line between Irvin and Thwaites. Irvin just does beat him out. by
Wow.
8/1000ths of a second between the two.
What a great race here tonight, Frank. All these playoff drivers fighting very, very hard here to get into the next round. And this is exactly what these drivers were born to do, born to race. And they put on a heck of a performance tonight. No caution here, caution-free race here in this playoff finale for the first round for the Extreme Xfinity Series. And let me tell you, Frank, once that 4 car got out front for the night, he was out there tremendously throughout the whole race. And I expect to see that probably within next week when we go to Homestead as well.
Absolutely, as there is Mike Rominger takes his second win of the season, and we'll bring him in here in just a moment. But boy, what a night we have had here tonight for Rominger, or for all these guys. It was a night of attrition, not a caution to be found here this evening. And let's now bring in our race winner, Mike Rominger. Mike, you had one heck of a run in the first stage, and once again, pit strategy falls in your favor. Congratulations on your first win in quite some time, sir.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, that was a fun race. I didn't think I would be that good on the long run. I didn't really run that many laps in practice. I just ran probably a 10-lap run. I didn't know how it was going to be, after that. I just went with it.
Now, I'm sure this obviously puts you into the round of 8, but how important is it to come out here and get a win, knowing that there's only 4 races left here in this season, to prove to yourself and to everyone else around you, yeah, I've been consistent up here at the front, but I can win too?
Yeah, it gives you confidence going into the last few races. I don't I don't get too high and get too low about stuff. So, I'm just taking it, race by race.
Fair enough. And for me personally, I think that's the best way to look at it. That next race that you mentioned, by the way, is Homestead Miami Speedway. What are your thoughts going into Homestead next week?
Well, I practiced there last week and I didn't do so good. So hopefully I could find something this week and help me out for next week.
All right. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, you guys up in the booth for putting on the broadcast every week. Ricmotech for all that they do for this league, and Rick and Ed and all the admins and everybody down in prime time teammates. They've been a good help. So yeah, you guys have a good night.
Absolutely. Mike Rominger, your race winner here tonight, bud. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We'll now go to our second place finisher, one of the 2 Allens. That would be Alan Dobbs. And Alan, we saw you had a great run, a great time on the long run last week. Unfortunately, this week it didn't come into play as well as you thought it would.
I mean, I did the best I could. I tried to save my tires, and I was definitely running people down when we were on the same pit strategy, but I saved a set of tires there that first stage, and it kind of set me behind the ball getting to go on the second stage. I was hoping for a late race caution, but we did the best we could. We wasn't going to be able to pull it out in front of Mike. He had just enough to get back around us there at the end.
We saw about 2 seconds worth of tire drop-off from everyone here tonight. What was kind of the key to being able to save your tires for those long, I would say the long runs, for the run with no cautions?
It really just came down to, like, you could probably run 13 laps on new tires without ever lifting, but that wasn't smart. It wasn't a good thing to do. So I tried to keep as much. I let it breathe as much as I could, and you know, really watching the wheel angle, making sure you're not really, scrubbing the tires, trying to get it to stick to the bottom or something. But wasn't enough though, right?
Yeah, unfortunately not here this week. We go to Homestead Miami Speedway, another racetrack where you're really going to have to concern yourself with tire wear. And from the few races that we've seen from you, you've done a very good job with it. What are your thoughts going into Homestead next week?
Yeah, I think that I should have a pretty good run at Homestead. Like you said, tires definitely come into play there, and I feel like the track is, ever since they did the update to it, you really got a lot more lanes and room to play with, and you can find a lot more speed, as the tires run and wear down. So it's probably going to come down to just trying to find that fastest line with whatever tires you got, and everybody's going to have to be moving around next week, and that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Certainly. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Hey, just shout out to Nicholas Caldwell, my team owner. Appreciate him inviting me in here and giving me a ride. And just shout out to the admins and you guys for the broadcast. Appreciate everybody.
All right, your second place finisher here tonight, Alan Dobbs. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you.
Now we're off to the other Alan, Alan Fox. And Alan, it appeared as though after Dover last week and how you dominated that race, it looked as though at the start you were going to do the same here this week, but just once you lost the lead in that pits in the very first pit cycle, you just never really were able to get back to it.
Yeah, I had a killer start. I was kind of shocked at how I took off like that, and then yeah, after, like you said, after the pit stop, it just wasn't the same. The track got a little hotter, and I was pushing a little too hard trying to catch back up, and I think I was killing the right front.
How was this racetrack to try to maneuver around? We saw guys getting loose quite a bit, especially coming out of turn 2, but we saw that outside line really come in as the race went on. How was this racetrack to drive here tonight from a racer perspective?
Well, I said in the team chat a couple times, it almost felt like a dirt car. You had to keep in the throttle to get it to turn, but if you kept in too much, you were killing the tire. So it was just a fine line, and you had to be on a rail on the bottom for the most part to be fast. Like late in the run, you could get up near the wall. But yeah, it handled like a dirt car. You had to hold it in there, drive it in, off the gas to get it to turn, and then back off the throttle again.
We go to Homestead Miami Speedway, again, another racetrack where you have to worry about tire wear, and it's going to be another loose racetrack. What are your thoughts going to Homestead next week?
Well, the fun I've been having will probably be over. I'll probably tear the right rear off the thing about halfway through the race. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting with the refresh to see if you can run the bottom and make time down there, or if you have to be ripping the wall like usual.
All right. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, just Extreme overall for putting these things on. You guys for the broadcast. Ed for really helping me out here, getting me back in the league. I'm having a blast with you guys.
All right. Your third place finisher here tonight, Alan Fox, bud. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. We'll see you next week.
And with that, that will do it for the interview portion of the race here tonight. And we do have points. We do have standings. We do know who is in, who is out. That battle between Paul Irvin and Michael Thwaites that we thought was going to be for the cutoff, who was in, who was out, it fortunately for both of those drivers was not. Mike Rominger, Nicholas Caldwell, Rob Haynes, Jacob Jensen, Austin Karp, Ed Morris, Michael Thwaites, and Paul Irvin are all on to the next round. The round of 8 will feature those drivers: Logan Koger, Alex Reeling, Gary Wells, and Ed Morris Sr. are the 4 drivers that will not make it through to the next round. So Daniel, we know who it's going to be, and I could not be more excited for Homestead next week.
I'm excited too, Frank. You know, we saw great battles going on throughout this whole entire race here tonight in the final race in the first round playoffs. And we went caution free. We didn't have any wrecks. We had one little spin, didn't bring out the caution though. We did see a lot of drivers get loose throughout turn two, but not just turn two. We did see drivers get loose out of turn four as well. But that's expected here at Las Vegas. But now that we're done with Las Vegas, we're done with the first round. Now we're going into the second round. We're going to Homestead Miami Speedway. And at Homestead, it provides great racing, but you're going to see a lot of drivers use that high lane very close to that outside wall, but you got to be very careful. You don't want to get too high, because if so, you're going to put yourself in the wall and lose lots of positions. So Homestead's going to be an exciting race to kick off the second round of the playoffs here.
Yep, and we will kick off the next round of the playoffs on Tuesday night here coming up next week. But right now we'll take a look and see the finishing results here for tonight's race from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Mike Rominger takes the race win. Alan Dobbs, Alan Fox, Jacob Jensen, Ed Morris, your top five. Austin Karp, Paul Irvin, Michael Thwaites, Rob Haynes, Logan Koger, your top 10. Unfortunately, that 10th place finish not enough for Logan Koger to make the transfer. Nicholas Caldwell, Gary Wells, Mike Campeggio, John Wimbish, and Daniel Krim, your top 15. Ted Pullen, Kerry Cleaver, Dustin Carroll, Ed Morris Sr., and Joshua Vidal, your top 20. Alex Reeling, Tommy Haynes, Nate Orlovsky. Jacob Brower had an incident late on in that race that kept him from finishing. Joe Darnell and Carter Casey, the bottom four, not finishing here this evening. So that will do it for us here from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. For my broadcast partner, Daniel Paulus Jr., I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We will see you all next week when the round of 8 begins from the Homestead Miami Speedway. Until then, I just drew a blank. Until then, folks, remember, as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.